Whenever a new open-world game inspired by Eastern culture emerges, it's impossible not to recall the impact that Ghost of Tsushima had, and how much expectations have grown for every game that tries to follow those footsteps. Now, with Where Winds Meet coming on strong and Ghost of Yōtei, by taking the top spot in comparisons, it's getting hard to ignore an inevitable question. Are we finally seeing a worthy successor, or better yet, a challenger to the throne? I'm warning you. There's a lot here that Where Winds Meet delivers better, and it's not just due to the graphics or sharper combat. I'm Matthew, and today we're going to talk about 7 things that Where Winds Meet does that may surpass Ghost of Yōtei. This is a game-changing advantage. The fact that Where Winds Meet is free on PS5 already gives me a sense of boldness and confidence from the studio. You can see that they believe in their own game enough to let anyone experience all the main content without asking for a cent. In times when almost everything comes with a high price tag and expensive DLCs, it's refreshing to see such an ambitious and visually impressive title betting on the free-to-play model without seeming predatory. The simple fact of being able to dive into that wuxia world without paying anything already creates a different bond with the player. Another point that gets me is the democratic access. Ghost of Yōtei might be a beautiful, polished, and cinematic game, but its price of $70 is a huge barrier, especially for those who don't earn so much. Where Winds Meet, on the other hand, lets the audience decide whether they want to invest time and money after trying it out. This completely changes the relationship between the player and the studio. No one feels cheated, and word of mouth can grow organically, strengthening the community around the game. Not to mention that in an online and living game like Where Winds Meet promises to be, the free model is practically ideal. It keeps the world full of people, creates opportunities for events, and encourages group exploration. It's the type of experience that gains new stories with every login. Ghost of Yōtei, even being visually incredible and having a closed narrative, is a more solitary and rigid journey. One is an intense personal adventure. The other, a universe that evolves along with those who play. I also think that Where Winds Meet has the chance to prove that a free-to-play game can be deep and artistically compelling, without needing to rely on invasive microtransactions. It's a delicate balance, but if they manage to deliver a rich world full of secrets, with wuxia-inspired combat and real freedom of exploration, it will be that rare case of free, but with soul. And that, honestly, is worth more than any price. The contrast is symbolic. Ghost of Yōtei represents the traditional model of premium Japanese production, expensive, closed, and impeccable. Where Winds Meet comes from China, with an open, experimental, and accessible proposal. The price difference is not just financial, it's cultural. The first charges for a finite experience. The second invites you to live in this world for as long as you want. And if that's not the future of open-world gaming, I don't know what is. This is something that truly draws attention in Where Winds Meet, the visual beauty it delivers without charging anything. Right from the start, the player is thrown into a world that seems alive, breathing, with lighting that changes naturally as time passes. Every leaf, reflection in the water, and particle in the mist seems carefully placed there. It's even hard to believe that this graphical quality is in a free-to-play game. While many paid titles promise realism and deliver something generic, Where Winds Meet shows an inspired, almost poetic artistic direction. The most curious thing is that Ghost of Yōtei, even being sold as a cinematic AAA, ended up sounding visually more monotonous to many people. It's beautiful, sure, but it lacks life in the textures, it lacks contrast in the landscapes. It looks like a controlled beauty, made to impress without truly moving you. Where Winds Meet, on the other hand, bets on elegant exaggeration. Mountains lost in the fog, temples hidden among bamboo groves, golden reflections at dusk. It's a game that forces you to stop for a moment just to contemplate. And the most impressive point is the technical balance. Even with all this ambition, Where Winds Meet maintains consistent fluidity and performance, something that seemed impossible for such a grandiose open world. The use of dynamic lighting is one of the best I've ever seen in a free game. The sunrise and sunset totally transform the atmosphere of the regions. It's as if each time of day tells a different story, something that is missing in many paid games. The visual superiority also comes from creative freedom. While Ghost of Yōtei repeats that dark and cold tone all the time, Where Winds Meet constantly changes the color palette, alternating between scenarios full of energy and contemplative moments. This visual variety reinforces the idea of a vast world, full of cultures, legends, and contrasts. You feel like you are traveling, not just crossing similar areas. In the end, it's almost ironic. The free game is the one that looks AAA, and the paid AAA is the one that looks generic. Where Winds Meet not only technically impresses, but redefines what we expect from a free open-world title. It shows that beauty does not depend on price, and that passion for details and well-applied art can still overcome the weight of traditional production. The combat system in Where Winds Meet is one of the parts that excites me the most. The variety of styles and weapons makes every fight taste different. There are 12 martial arts, all with their own identities, 23 mystical techniques, and a repertoire of weapons that goes far beyond the conventional. You can seamlessly switch from a sword to a spear, or surprise the enemy with a rope dart or a fan, without breaking the rhythm. It's a type of freedom we rarely see in action games, especially a free one. The detail that impresses the most is the cinematic touch. The animations were choreographed by Hong Kong cinema experts, and you can feel that in the way the movements chain together. Every blow looks like a wuxia movie scene, with that exaggerated lightness, but which still respects the physical weight of the combat. Unlike many games that merely imitate realism, Where Winds Meet transforms the fight into a spectacle without losing the sense of impact. Compared to this, the combat in Ghost of Yōtei seems limited. It follows the traditional samurai model, precise, technical, but also stiff. There is an elegance there, without a doubt, but it lacks variety. After a while, everything boils down to the same choreography of swords and counterattacks. Where Winds Meet, on the other hand, encourages you to experiment. It's a game that invites creativity, where changing style in the middle of battle can save a fight or create a visually incredible moment. The balance between magic and technique is also notable. The 23 mystical techniques are not just flashy skills, they expand the tactical range. You can manipulate the wind, speed up your movements, or even briefly float through the air in aerial duels worthy of a martial arts film. It's the type of combat that rewards both technical mastery and the desire to express yourself within the game. In the end, this is the point that truly differentiates the two titles. Ghost of Yōtei represents the contained, almost ceremonial duel, while Where Winds Meet celebrates the choreographed chaos of Oriental fantasy. One teaches you discipline, the other lets you dance with danger. And honestly, it's this dance that makes Where Winds Meet so captivating. The feeling of movement in Where Winds Meet is something that truly captures the player from the very first minutes. Few games give you so much freedom of movement with such fluidity. Running on walls, taking long leaps, and gliding across fields with wuxia techniques is addictive. It's that kind of mechanic that is not just a means to reach the destination, but a pleasure in itself. You find yourself deviating from the main path just to test how far you can go, as if the world were a large vertical park full of possibilities. The most interesting part is how mobility integrates with combat and exploration. You don't feel stuck on terrain or cornered by design limitations. Everything seems to encourage the player to improvise, climbing cliffs using spiritual momentum, using energy bursts to cross rivers or reach the top of temples in the middle of the mountains. It is an almost artistic freedom, which invites the player to shape their own game pace. Compared to this, Ghost of Yōtei seems old-fashioned. Its traversal system is beautiful, polished, but restricted. You climb what the game allows, run as far as the map authorizes, and rarely feel that vertigo of total freedom. It's a game that wants to guide you by the hand, showing every detail with absolute control. Where Winds Meet, on the contrary, trusts you. It throws you into the world and says, if you want, fly. The most incredible thing is how this mobility does not break the immersion. On the contrary, it reinforces the wuxia fantasy, that idea of warriors who master body and spirit to transcend human limits. The exaggerated physics is part of the magic, and every jump is a reminder that this world follows its own rules. It's hard not to smile when you run across water or scale a tower in seconds, all wrapped up in a soundtrack that makes the moment seem like a choreography. Where Winds Meet transforms exploration into an act of pure freedom. It's the type of game you play not just to fulfill objectives, but to feel the pleasure of moving. While Ghost of Yōtei invites you to follow a carefully designed path, Where Winds Meet lets you choose the air you want to breathe, the wind you want to follow. The open world of Where Winds Meet is the type of scenario that makes you feel that every step matters. There are more than 20 interconnected regions, each with its own identity, and a level of detail that surprises even in the most forgotten corners. It's not just about the size of the map, but about how it breathes. Villages pulsating with life, monasteries hidden in the mountains, and forests that change with the weather and time of day give the sensation of a truly living universe. You don't cross a map, you live within it. The part that impresses the most is the behavior of the NPCs. With more than 10,000 dynamic characters, the cities seem to be watching you back. In Kaifeng, for example, every corner tells a story. Vendors arguing about prices, street artists performing, citizens reacting to weather events, and even rumors spreading about your actions. It is the type of setting that makes every visit different, a combination of simulation and fantasy that few games manage to balance. Furthermore, player choices truly matter. Moral decisions, alliances, and even small gestures on the journey can change the world around you. An act of kindness can open unexpected paths, while a poorly disguised crime can change how entire regions react to you. It's not that false sense of freedom that many games promise. Here, the consequence is an organic part of the experience. This creates a greater bond with the world because everything that happens seems to be in constant motion. Compared to this, the map of Ghost of Yōtei looks like a beautiful but static painting. It is impressive to look at, but lacks that naturalness that makes the player forget they are in a game. Everything is very guided, with positioned events and limited interactions. Where Winds Meet, in contrast, transforms the simple act of walking into discovery. Even the silence of the wind on the plains carries meaning, because you never know what you will find just ahead. It's interesting to see how Where Winds Meet redefines what open world means. It doesn't just want to be big, it wants to be alive. It wants to surprise you with the unexpected, make you lose hours exploring ruins or watching the inhabitants reacting to your actions. It's the type of game that rewards curiosity and patience, where every journey is a story, and every detail reinforces the feeling of total immersion. Customization in Where Winds Meet is one of the elements that most reinforces the feeling of belonging to the game world. From the beginning, the freedom to create the character is impressive, not just in appearance, but in presence. The creation system allows for the adjustment of minute facial details, expressions, postures, and even the way the character moves. It's as if the game were saying, do you want to be a hero, a wanderer, or a dark monk? The choice is yours. This level of personalization already makes you feel part of the story, not just a spectator of it. But the depth goes beyond aesthetics. The fighting styles are also completely moldable, and this flexibility significantly alters the gameplay. You can combine techniques from different martial schools, mixing grace and brutality according to your preference. It's fascinating to see how the game balances technique with identity. A more agile character can excel in mobility and evasion, while a more serene one masters counterattacks and mystical attacks. This freedom creates unique combat styles, almost as if each player writes their own battle choreography. Another point that makes the system so special is how the character's appearance affects the world around them. Cosmetics and clothes are not just ornamental. Certain outfits elevate charisma and can change dialogues or even how NPCs react to you. An elegant costume can open doors in palaces, while humble clothes can generate sympathy among peasants. It is a touch of roleplay rare in open-world games, and it makes every interaction seem more authentic. When we compare this with Ghost of Yōtei, the difference is stark. There, the fixed protagonist is part of the narrative, but ends up limiting immersion. The player lives the story of a predefined character, following a closed script. Where Winds Meet, on the other hand, returns complete control. You don't interpret someone, but decide who you want to be. This gives a new weight to choices and transforms the journey into something personal, even within a gigantic world. In the end, the customization system of Where Winds Meet is what best symbolizes its design philosophy. Total freedom with purpose. It's rare to see a game so visually grandiose and yet focused on individual expression. It gives you the tools, but you are the one who writes the legend. And this sense of authorship is something that Ghost of Yōtei, however competent, can never offer. This is another area where Winds Meet truly stands out: the multiplayer experience. Being able to explore that colossal world together with other players completely transforms the rhythm and feel of the game. The co-op for up to 4 people in the main campaign is more than a simple addition. It's a change in philosophy. Every mission, duel, or discovery becomes something shared, and this creates spontaneous moments that no script could reproduce. It's like living an epic journey with friends, without losing the emotional essence of the narrative. The cooperative mode also works fluidly, without that separation between story and multiplayer that many games insist on imposing. You can enter and leave others' worlds, help with boss battles, or simply traverse the fields and cities side by side. This naturalness gives the impression that the world of Where Winds Meet was created to be lived together, where each player brings their touch and personality to the adventure. In addition to co-op, the game goes far beyond by offering PvP and raids. The duel arenas allow you to test your martial skills against other players, reinforcing the competitive aspect of the different combat schools. Raids and online events promise large-scale battles, mystical enemies, and rewards that keep the community active. It's the type of content that prolongs the game's lifespan, creating a constant dynamic between cooperation and rivalry. Meanwhile, Ghost of Yōtei is stuck in single-player. Its proposal is more cinematic, but also more solitary. A title like this can deliver intensity and focus. Yes, but it loses the spontaneity and sense of community that Where Winds Meet offers. There isn't that simple joy of sharing a difficult victory, nor the excitement of facing something new with friends by your side. It is a closed experience, while Where Winds Meet is a living universe. In the end, the presence of multiplayer and co-op in Where Winds Meet is not just an extra. It is an affirmation of the project's scale and ambition. It wants to be a social, mutable world, full of encounters and collective stories. The journey continues even when you turn off the console, because there is always someone exploring, fighting, or discovering something new. And that's what makes Where Winds Meet seem not just like a game, but a parallel life within the wuxia genre.